Hi, the intricate tapestry of global trade has long been woven with the threads of competition, cooperation, and conflict, and nowhere is this more evident than in the ongoing trade tensions between the United States and China. As the world's two largest economies, their relationship has implications not only for their own citizens but for economies and markets around the globe. The question of who wins in the US-China trade war is complex, layered, and multifaceted, involving economic metrics, political maneuvering, and the broader implications for global trade dynamics. To begin with, the trade war itself can be traced back to a series of escalating tariffs and counter-tariffs, initiated by the United States in 2018 under the administration of President Donald Trump. The rationale behind these measures was to address what the U.S. perceived as unfair trade practices by China, including intellectual property theft, forced technology transfers, and a significant trade imbalance. The U.S. sought to protect its domestic industries and workers, believing that by imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, it could incentivize American consumers to buy domestically produced products instead. China, on the other hand, responded with its own tariffs on American goods, targeting key sectors such as agriculture, automotive, and technology. This tit-for-tat escalation created a landscape of uncertainty for businesses and consumers alike, leading to a slowdown in global economic growth. The imposition of tariffs raised prices for consumers, disrupted supply chains, and created an environment of volatility that made long-term planning difficult for companies operating in both markets. From an economic perspective, the immediate winners in this trade war seem to be those industries and sectors that were shielded from Chinese competition due to the tariffs. Certain American manufacturers, particularly in the steel and aluminum sectors, saw a temporary boost as domestic prices rose and imports fell. However, this short-term gain came at a cost. The broader economy felt the pinch as consumers faced higher prices on goods, and industries reliant on Chinese components experienced increased production costs. The agricultural sector, particularly in states that heavily export to China, was hit hard as Chinese tariffs on soybeans and pork led to significant losses for American farmers. In China, the narrative is slightly different. The Chinese government has implemented measures aimed at bolstering domestic consumption and reducing reliance on foreign markets. This pivot towards self-sufficiency has been encapsulated in initiatives such as Made in China 2025, which aims to upgrade the country's manufacturing capabilities and promote high-tech industries. While the trade war has created challenges, it has also spurred innovation and investment in sectors that the Chinese government deems critical for future growth. In this sense, one could argue that China is playing a long game, leveraging the trade war as an opportunity to accelerate its economic transformation. However, the notion of winning in a trade war is not solely about economic metrics. It is also about political capital and international standing. For the United States, the trade war has been framed as a necessary confrontation to reclaim its position as a global leader and to push back against what it sees as China's aggressive expansionism. The rhetoric surrounding the trade war has resonated with a significant portion of the American electorate, particularly in regions that have felt the impact of globalization and competition from Chinese imports. In this light, the U.S. administration can claim a political victory by appealing to nationalistic sentiments and advocating for American workers. Conversely, China has positioned itself as a defender of free trade and globalization, emphasizing its commitment to multilateralism and cooperation. The Chinese government has sought to portray the U.S. as the aggressor, arguing that its actions undermine the principles of free trade that have benefited the global economy. This narrative has found some traction in developing countries, where China's Belt and Road Initiative has positioned it as a partner in economic development. By framing itself as a champion of globalization, China aims to bolster its soft power and influence in regions that have historically been aligned with the West. The question of who wins in the trade war also extends to the global economy. The interconnectedness of markets means that the repercussions of the US-China trade tensions are felt far beyond their borders. Countries that rely on exports to either the US or China have found themselves caught in the crossfire, facing uncertainty and volatility. For instance, nations in Southeast Asia have seen shifts in supply chains as companies seek to diversify away from China to mitigate risks associated with tariffs. This has led to a reconfiguration of trade routes and partnerships. with some countries benefiting from increased foreign investment and manufacturing relocation. Moreover, the trade war has prompted discussions around the future of globalization itself. As the US and China engage in a battle for economic supremacy, questions arise about the sustainability of a global trading system that has been characterized by liberalization and interdependence. The rise of protectionist sentiments in both countries reflects a broader trend that could reshape the global economy in the years to come. This shift raises concerns about the potential for fragmentation, where countries retreat into economic silos, prioritizing national interests over global cooperation. In assessing the outcomes of the trade war, it is essential to consider the long-term ramifications. While immediate victories may be claimed by specific sectors or political narratives, the broader economic landscape is marked by uncertainty and change. The trade war has accelerated trends that were already underway, such as the rise of digital economies, shifts in supply chains, and the increasing importance of technology and innovation. Both the US and China are grappling with the implications of these changes, as they seek to navigate a world that is increasingly defined by competition and rivalry. Furthermore, the trade war has underscored the importance of resilience in supply chains and the need for diversification. Companies are reevaluating their strategies, looking for ways to reduce dependency on any single market. This has led to a renewed focus on regional trade agreements and partnerships, as countries seek to strengthen economic ties with one another. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP, for instance, represents a significant effort by Asian nations to create a more integrated economic bloc, highlighting the potential for collaboration in the face of geopolitical tensions. As the trade war continues to evolve, it is clear that the question of who wins is not a simple binary. Both the US and China have experienced costs and benefits, and the ultimate outcome will depend on a multitude of factors, including domestic policies, global economic conditions, and the ability of leaders to navigate the complexities of international relations. The trade war has revealed the fragility of the global trading system and the challenges of balancing national interests with the need for cooperation. In conclusion, the US-China trade war is a multifaceted conflict that defies easy categorization. While certain sectors may claim victories in the short term, the broader implications for both economies and the global landscape are profound. The trade war has prompted a reevaluation of economic strategies, a shift towards regionalism, and a renewed emphasis on resilience and innovation. The ultimate winners and losers will emerge over time, as the world grapples with the consequences of this unprecedented economic confrontation. As history has shown, trade wars rarely yield clear victories. Instead, they often leave a legacy of complexity and change that shapes the future of global commerce for years to come.